Microphone check 1 2. Everything look good. All right. Here we go. Whew, quick. All right, shalom, everybody out there. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rikar Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Okay. And we'll go right into this lesson. No, it's all good. We'll go right into this lesson that we got planned here. All right. The title of it is going to be World News, Russia, Ukraine, and the World. All right. That's what it's entitled. So we're going to first, I got a video with some good information in it. This is it right here. This is from 5 days ago. This is from before the actual, if you want to say invasion or before the actual fighting started. This is from 5 days ago, but it's entitled from Gravitas, or it's entitled Gravitas Plus Explains the Russia-Ukraine Crisis. It's about 9 minutes and 25 seconds long. It is 9 minutes and 25 seconds long. Good information about the Russia and the Ukraine. Maybe you'll understand better after you see that. Because even though we understand that, Bible prophecy says what it says about, the coming World War III and this and that, a lot of brothers and sisters may not understand, the inner workings of the whole Ukraine-Russia crisis. But we'll, let you see part of that. Well, we'll let you see that whole video. And that gives you a lot of information, how they divided up the nuclear weapons, because Ukraine used to be a part of Russia, a part of the Soviet Union, let's say. So, there's some good information. We're going to get into that. And we also got the NBC nightly news from last night. And we got one more other news report. All those things are going to be good for edification and for information. First, let's start with the scripture here. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. For those overzealous Israelites that think that now that, you're hearing a little noise coming out, that the end is just going to all of a sudden come. No, the end is not going to come yet. This is Habakkuk 2 verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. Now, the table is the Holy Bible. And as told to us in Ezekiel 9, eat this roll. And in Jeremiah, the Most High told Jeremiah, once you eat this roll, or he said, let's go there real quick. Jeremiah 5, you run throughout the streets and you preach the word. Jeremiah 5 verse 1, it says, run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem. Now, back then during Jeremiah's time, yeah, that was so. But now we go wherever Jerusalem is, which is wherever the Israelites are. Then that we scattered into the four corners of the earth. Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem and see now and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man. What's the broad places? On the highways and hedges, in the streets and the lanes. And seek in the broad places thereof, if you can find a man, if there be any that executed judgment that seeketh the truth, and I will pardon it. So that's why we go out and we preach on the streets. Back in Habakkuk 2 verse 2, it says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. So we break down this, as it has been done for us. The scriptures have been broken down, right? Those that hear the message, the men, they receive it, right? They eat the roll, and then they also go out in like manner, and they, run when they read it, and look for the elect. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it would not tarry. So the vision, all of the visions that the prophet saw, they're for appointed times, and each one comes when it's supposed to come. So we can't get all extra super excited. I mean, even though it's great to see prophecy moving, but you can't put one prophecy above another, okay, or in front of another. The Most High is going to make everything happen the way he wants it to happen in his own time. But it is great to see some movement with Russia invading Ukraine, however you want to word it. So this is also 2nd Esdras chapter 4, verse 37. Keep this in mind always. By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he does not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Meaning the Most High is not gonna, he's not gonna uproot his prophecies. One thing's gonna happen in its proper time, another thing is gonna happen in its proper time, right? The vision is yet for an appointed time, and everything's gonna come in its course. This is Bayan Yasharallah, 2nd Esdras 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And that's what we're doing. We're measuring the time. We're redeeming the time. We're keeping up with what's going on. We're watching as well as praying. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, and the end is manifest. Okay, so, and it goes on to say, the end has plain beginnings and wonders and effects and signs. So we're seeing, the effects of certain visions that's coming into play, and it's great, but it's going to move at the Most High's pace. As we said I did a video the other day, the mark of the beast still got to come, right? Jacob's trouble still got to happen. You got other things that's got to occur before World War III takes off. So, as you can be excited, but don't get too overexcited, okay? Because I did a lesson a long time ago. I think it was entitled something to the effect of beware of spiritual disappointment. You can get yourself up so high you think, oh Lord, the Lord gonna come any minute now. And then you still got other prophecies that's got to happen. And that was actually a lesson I did last night. GMS Spiritual War, Revelation 11:14. The second woe is past. When you read in Revelation about the woes, in some instances it symbolizes the world wars. So 2 have happened already. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So that's what we're waiting to happen, to have happen. So you're still in the build-up, and you're seeing some fighting, which is good. Salvation of the elect, Revelation 22:7. Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecy of this book. Right? You got to keep the prophecies in mind always. Okay, one prophecy is not going to jump over another because you getting antsy. This is Zakar to Zion, Ezekiel 38:4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company, with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, which is the prophecy of the Soviet Union coming back together. And you can already see it. And as you're going to see from this video information, why Russia would want to take Ukraine down, why they would want to take them back over. And this is continuing on, Bayan Yasharallah, 2nd Esdras 9:6. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder, and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. And you're seeing the signs, the wonders. You're seeing all these things playing out, starting to play out now more and more. This is GMS Vegas Sit Down, Isaiah 55:11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I send it. The Most High's word does not go out void. It talks about Armageddon in the Bible, and damn it, Armageddon is going to come. But we have to keep it in proper perspective and not get too up, because you still got the famine of the word. You got a lot more things that's got to happen before the end comes, even before World War III comes. Okay. All right, so let's get ready to, let's see. Well, before we do, I got another scripture here we can read. Let's go to Jeremiah. And you're going to have a lot more Israelites that you got a lot of lukewarm Israelites that don't really pay that much attention to us. But then when World War III talk happened and you start seeing shit for sure, Jake started coming out of the woodworks trying to trim that dry ass wick in that lamp, but it ain't going to work. Jeremiah 28:8. In some people's case, it's not going to work. Jeremiah 28:8, it says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. And that's the thing we do. We talk about these great wars, these pestilences, the evil things that are coming on the earth. That's our job. And you got certain Israelite groups that don't want to hear about war. Like one body in Yahushua said, all they do is talk about war, war, war. You're a dumbass. You old Billy Goat. You've been going off in the scriptures, man. That's why you're saying that. Because you work really. A lot of Israelite groups are on the take and they work for Esau. A lot of them was put in place for a distraction. And we ain't paying you no attention like that, other than to correct your missed breakdowns of the scriptures. Other than that, we ain't thinking about you like that. You can stay your nigga asses in the hood, do whatever you want to do. We ain't worried about you. We just worried about the elect. That's it. So let's get on with it. I'm gonna go ahead and play this first video. Like I said, it's 9 minutes long. I will put the link, on the comment board and whatnot. Let's go ahead and do that now. And it's got a lot of good information. One thing I found enlightening is that Ukraine got nuclear weapons. They got nuclear weapons, and they, when they split with Russia, I'm gonna let you see it. I'll let the video speak for itself. So listen up, pay attention, and we'll come back after this. After this goes off. So like I said, it's 9 minutes and 25 seconds. That's the link on the comment board. Here's the video.
Russia go to war with Ukraine. All week, you've heard numerous answers to this question. In Ukraine, 70.
Now, first, before we go on, like I said, this was 5 days ago, so it's coming from the aspect of will they go to war? This is before they actually started fighting, so we already know the answer to that, but it's still great information, okay? So let's just go ahead and go back and play it. Come on now. And I see this some type of
If you want to eat healthy and feel your best, you gotta
come on.
Try Ka'Chava. Ka'Chava is the world's healthiest.
We're gonna go back and start this over. Here we go.
Will Russia go to war with Ukraine? All week, you've heard numerous answers to this question. In Ukraine, 71% of the people believe their country is already at war with Russia. This is a complex crisis, and all the answers are hidden in history. Did you know there was a time when Kiev was more powerful than Moscow? There was also a time when Ukraine and America were adversaries. Tonight, we'll bring you all these stories. We will tell you why Russian President Vladimir Putin is obsessed with Ukraine. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, this is Gravitas Plus. We begin in the 9th century. There was a state called Kievan Rus. This is where it was located. The Slavic people lived here. The city of Kiev was their capital. Between 980 and 1015, the Kievan Rus was ruled by Grand Prince Volodymyr. In Russian, his name is Vladimir. In Ukrainian, Volodymyr. And as fate would have it, these are also the names of the presidents of these two countries today. Anyway, Russians, Ukrainians, and Belarusians draw their lineage from this Slavic state. A lot changed in the centuries that followed, and for a lot of it, Ukraine was under Russian rule. In the 1900s, the two were Soviet republics. Russia, the most powerful of the 15 republics, and Ukraine, the second most powerful. It had defense industries, large agricultural lands, and housed much of the Soviet nuclear arsenal. During the Cold War, Ukraine was the arch rival of the United States. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Ukraine became independent, as did Russia. Ukraine inherited much of Soviet nuclear arsenal, but gave it up to Russia in 1994. In exchange, Moscow guaranteed Ukraine's security and promised to respect its sovereignty. They signed the Budapest Memorandum along with these countries. Cut to November 2013.
Salakia, I want to go back a little bit. They mentioned the nuclear weapons. Here we go. Let's go back some. All right, here we go.
As did Russia, Ukraine inherited much of Soviet nuclear arsenal, but gave it up to Russia in 1994.
Okay, so from what they said that Ukraine had a lot of the nuclear weapons, but they gave it up to the Russians. So here you can see Ukraine nuclear inheritance. They had 176 intercontinental ballistic missiles. Damn. 1,249 nuclear warheads, 44 strategic bombers. You know, Ukraine used to be packing some shit over there, but supposedly they gave it up to Russia. Here's more.
In exchange, Moscow guaranteed Ukraine's security and
damn it, this thing moved quick.
Guaranteed Ukraine.
All right, so here it says more. They had 700 nuclear-tipped cruise missiles, 2,000 tactical nuclear weapons, which I don't really know what tactical nuclear weapons are as compared to the others. All I know is that's some nasty shit they got. And Russia, this just shows you how much nuclear power Russia got, because they got what they already had, and they got these from the Ukraine.
Ukraine's security and promised to respect its sovereignty. They signed the Budapest Memorandum along with these countries. Cut to November 2013, Viktor Yanukovych was the president of Ukraine. He had a reputation for heavy-handedness, corruption, and above all, for being openly pro-Moscow. In 2013, he rejected an EU trade deal. This deal could have meant greater integration with the European Union. Instead, Yanukovych decided to take a $15 billion bailout from Russia. To many Ukrainians, it felt like being sold to Moscow. So protests broke out. They were called Euromaidan. Euro because these protests were about Europe, and Maidan because they happened Kiev's Maidan, what we today know as the Independence Square. Here, protesters chanted, "Sign the EU deal, Yanukovych must step down." Russia supported the president, the West supported the protesters. In February 2014, Yanukovych's government was toppled, the president was driven out of Ukraine, it led to Russia. Not every Ukrainian was happy with this. Many
Come on.
in the Russian-speaking East wanted Yanukovych to stay. When he was driven out, the minority felt disenfranchised. On the other side of the border, Russia was angry it had lost its puppet. To salvage the situation, Moscow annexed Crimea. Why Crimea? Well, let's now zoom into this part of the world. Crimea is a peninsula. It is located in the Black Sea. In 1954, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev transferred Crimea. It was given to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic from the Russian Soviet Socialist Republic. Why? Khrushchev hoped the transfer would strengthen, quote-unquote, brotherly ties between the Ukrainian and Russian people. Both Russia and Crimea were part of the Soviet Union. So this transfer did not mean very much. When Ukraine became independent in 1991, Crimea joined it. The peninsula was given special autonomy. It remained home to Russian military bases. Moscow promised to respect Crimean autonomy. Many in Russia were of the opinion that Crimea should not have been allowed to join Ukraine. In 2014, when Yanukovych was ousted from power in Ukraine, Russian military began seizing government buildings in Crimea. Soon the entire peninsula was under military occupation. A referendum followed. On the 16th of March 2014, Crimeans voted to become a part of Russia. Was this vote legitimate? Well, it depends on who you ask. For Putin, this was Crimea's liberation. For the rest of the world, this was Crimea's annexation. The focus then shifted to eastern Ukraine, where Russia-backed separatists had seized territory. Ukrainian forces did not launch an all-out offensive at first, but on the 17th of July 2014, when a flight carrying 298 people was shot down by these rebels, Ukrainian forces decided to flush out the rebels. The separatists began losing ground, so the Russian army stepped in. They invaded eastern Ukraine and fought alongside the rebels. What followed was a series of talks between Russia, Ukraine, and the West. They resulted in the Minsk Accords. This was first signed in 2014. Both sides agreed on ceasefire and military withdrawal. Ukraine agreed to hold elections in the rebel-held areas. 8 years on, the Minsk Accords remain unimplemented. Ukraine stands as the largest European country excluding Russia. It covers an area of more than 600,000 square kilometers with a population of 44 million and a GDP of more than $155 billion. Per capita income, more than $3,700. Today, Ukraine is divided between East and West in more ways than one. The West sees itself as more European. The East is closer to Russia, be it in terms of geography or sentiment. In the West, most Ukrainians speak Ukrainian. In the East, a third are native Russians. In the West, Russia is looked at with suspicion. In the East, Russia is looked at through the lens of shared history and heritage. Ukraine also remains at war. Its forces are fighting the rebels in the east. Rebel leaders are ruling at least two regions, Donetsk and Luhansk. Together, they're known as the Donbas region. Russia has once again sent its troops. This time, they're stationed right at the border. What does Vladimir Putin want? For NATO to stop expanding. NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's a military alliance. These countries are the founding members of NATO. These countries joined it during the Cold War, and these countries joined after it. Ukraine wants to join NATO too, but Putin wants NATO to exclude Ukraine and every former Soviet state. And this is just half the story. Like I said, a lot is hidden in history. For starters, there is domestic politics. When Putin annexed Crimea, his approval rating skyrocketed. Keeping the nationalistic drum rolling helps the Russian president. Annexing parts of Ukraine also helps Putin restore Russia's superpower image. Again, back to history. Many Russians view Ukraine's independence as a mistake. It is true that Ukraine was ruled by Russia. In fact, Ukraine has barely remained independent pre-1991. There was a brief period before World War I, and then another stint in 1600. For the rest of its modern history, Ukraine was under Russia. 1 in 6 Ukrainians is an ethnic Russian. 1 in 3 speaks Russian as a native language. So Putin is right when he says historically they were one. But claiming Ukraine on the basis of colonial history is wrong. It will be like Britain claiming India, or South Africa, or Spain claiming the Philippines. Past imperialism cannot justify present-day expansionism. Here's what else history tells us. Ukraine was forcefully Russified. Cut to 1700, Russian leader Catherine the Great started Russifying Ukraine. Ethnic Russians were shipped to this part of the world. Schools were told to teach Russian language. By 1800, the Ukrainian language was banned. In 1930, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin steered a famine in Ukraine. Millions of Eastern Ukrainians were killed. The area was then repopulated with ethnic Russians. In the 1940s, the ethnic Tatars were relocated. They too were replaced with Russians. There is a reason why Eastern Ukraine today has so many native Russian speakers. It was designed to be that way. Eastern Ukraine was always dear to Russia. It has coal, it has iron, fertile land. Its historical connection with Russia was forced. Putin time and again talks about the Holy Rus. He says Russians and Ukrainians are one people. 70% Ukrainians reject this thought. 72% consider Russia a hostile state. Today, 33.3% Ukrainians are ready to take up arms against Russia. 21.7% are ready to stage a civil resistance against Russia. 67% Ukrainians want to join the EU. 59% want to join the NATO. Meet the current Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky. He came to power in 2019 following a landslide victory. He's a vocal critic of Russia. Zelensky openly opposes Russian occupation of eastern Ukraine. 73% of Ukrainian voters voted this man to power. Today, Volodymyr Zelensky represents the pulse of Ukraine, the Ukraine that wants to remain independent of Russia. But Vladimir Putin wants to become the man who revived Russian imperialism. He does not realize the world has moved on.
So, Lord willing, you got something out of that. A lot of information, a little bit of history going back between the two countries. What I find interesting, other than just the nuclear weapons part of it, and some of the agriculture and things they talked about, is that whenever you have, and these are brothers right here, Ukraine and Russia, they're close together, they're brothers, they're really the same, really are the same people, all just damn Edomites. And I'm sure you got some Jakes among them, some Israelites among them, because of the Slavic people and because you had Israelites during the Dark Ages that was all over there in Russia, okay, over there in that region of the world. I think the apostles talk about going back with the czars, some of them was Jakes. But the interesting thing is that when you have two countries like South Korea and North Korea, you always got this fucking devil in the middle of it, causing division between people that normally would be united. Because what you got is the Edomites in America with Israel and those Israeli Edomites and the rest of the Edomite families from the UK, which is Britain, from France, Germany. They got NATO and the EU. And then you got the other Edomite brother, Russia, right? It was a more powerful brother. You got also with them, it's probably like even Turkey. If I'm not mistaken, Turkey is part of NATO. But you got some Edomites joined together with the American Edomites, and some Edomites are with the Russian Edomites. And it's always this devil America's in the middle, trying to divide these countries. You got South America and not South America, North Korea and South Korea. One is an American ally, the other is like a rogue state, which North Korea is the enemy, and South Korea is an American ally. And you got these devils trying to keep them divided. It's the same thing when you go down to South America. You got certain countries that were more friendly to America, and then you had others that didn't want to be bothered with America, like Venezuela. When Hugo Chavez was still alive, he didn't want to be dealing with America like that. But it's always when you got these two nations that's together like that, America's in the middle, just like with China and Taiwan. Taiwan is really want to flirt with America, and America try to keep China from conquering Taiwan and putting the iron fist on them. But really, that's their people, that's their land. But anyway, sooner or later, something's gonna break out. You always got this devil causing division, but that was good for information. So Lord willing, and I'll put the link up again for those that came in later. If you want to go there and extract some type of info from it. Let's get we'll read here. This is Jim S. Amathia Eyes from Yahweh, Mark 3:24. It says, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. And another interesting thing, too, is there's some type of pipeline that Russia wants to build. And part of it, I think, if I'm not mistaken, goes through the Ukraine. But also America got a pipeline along with the NATO countries that they thinking about. Either if it's already built or either they're thinking about building it. So it's a lot of money at stake. This is more economical thing right now. But we'll see. We'll see coming up in the near future what happens. Did we read that already? Yeah, another brother got Matthew. Let's read that. This is Mosnaim, servant of Yahweh Shai, Matthew 12:25. And Yahweh Shai knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And right now, these world empires are ruled by Satan. Whether people want to believe it or not, whether you like it or not, it's the truth. We can prove it. Let's go to Luke chapter 4. This world empire is currently ruled by the spiritual demon Satan. This is his world. And these nations that are ruling, the ones that are in power now are the wicked. And that's Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. So you got these powerful Russians. They're powerful, but they really are not in authority over the whole earth. You got Babylon the Great and its allies, America. They're the ones in authority over the whole earth. But in the spirit, Satan rules the whole shit. Let's go here to Luke 4:1. It says, and Yahushua, being full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil. And in those days he did eat nothing, and when they were ended, he afterward hungered. And the devil said unto him, if thou be the Son of God, command this stone that it be made bread. And Yahushua answered him, saying, it is written that man should not live by bread alone, but by every word of the Most High. And the devil, taking him up into an high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. He showed him all the great kingdoms, the great empires. He had to see Babylon the Great, Egypt, the Persians and the Medes. He saw Greece, Rome, all the great empires. And the devil, taking him up into a high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. And the devil said unto him, all this power will I give thee, and the glory of them, for that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it. See that? So the devil said, hey, I got power over this whole shit. If you worship me, you can have power. If thou therefore will worship me, all shall be thine. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. So, Yahushua knew he was going to get his own kingdom, but it's not yet. Let's also get Prince of this world. So spiritually, the leaders in the rulership all are under the influence of the spiritual demon Satan. That's why you got a wicked vibration on the earth, which is the plan of the Heavenly Father. Now, in reality, the Most High is ruling in the kingdom of men, but he allowed this for a period of time to go on. This is John 12:31, it says, now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. Who's the prince of this world? It's Satan. That's who it is. He's the prince of this world. He's the ruler of this world and the empires of it. That's why these devils, the main thing going on throughout the earth now is wickedness, man. That's the vibration. So let's get fire scriptures. Mosdaim, servant of Yahweh Shai. Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. The whole rulership of the earth given into the hand of who? The wicked. And this wicked is talking about Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. It proves it right here. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is it? This is how you got Caesar Borgia. You got white angels. You got white this, white that, when they historically were not so-called white people. They covered the faces of the judges because they're the wicked. That's why they would do that. This is Yeremiah Gabar, Daniel 4:17. This matters by decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. And it's prophesied that these world leaders, these different people would be the rulers of this time, right? Or they would each would have their rulership in place, but they will all be governed by the spiritual demon Satan in the spirit. And then the Lord is going to come and set the righteous kingdom, which has no end. Okay, this is a guy. Hazayan. Okay, he says Satan. Okay, you're apostle. And look, apostle, elder. You an elder and apostle? Let's see if you got any works on your page. Elder, apostle, elder. Yeah, you got some videos. Okay. But how the hell you an elder and an apostle? We never heard of you. Where's your street ministry at? See, we knew that this was going to happen. Jake going to pop up in the last minute like you're this great deep man of the Lord. You don't got no street ministry. How the hell you going to be a damn elder, not a damn Salakia, elder and an apostle, but you got no street ministry? How is that possible? I'm just wondering. And who did you learn from? Let's wait to see if he gives us an answer. Who did you learn under? Who did you learn under? Apostles of Quan? Who did you learn under? We might have to go to your page and check out some of your videos and see what you're pushing over there. The mark of the beast identified and revealed. Let's ask you, what's the mark of the beast? Since you did a video and you said it's being revealed, what's the mark of the beast? Can you tell us? We never heard of you. What's the mark of the beast? Don't give us no long dissertation, just a straight answer. What is the mark of the beast? If you're an elder, you're an apostle, what's the mark of the beast? Don't make us wait. Don't make us wait. What's the mark of the beast? 46 years of ministry. Can you furnish a link to at least one street video recently? 46 years in the ministry. Hey, man, we didn't ask you, Theo Davidson. Stay out of it. I'm talking to this one individual. Stay out of it, man. What is the mark of the beast? You got 46 years in the ministry. Okay. Any street videos, give us the link. You got a camp? Where'd you camp at? No answer. You got an answer? What's the mark of the beast? They made an hour 31 damn minute live stream. What's the mark of the beast? 46 years in the ministry. Where? He ain't going to answer us. If you got the truth, man, you're supposed to be, hey, bring it out. Look, the mark of the beast is a man and the number of his name. The mark of the beast is not a man. It's not a man. It's not a man. You failed. We knew you ain't had the light. We ain't gonna block you. Don't let him stay, brothers. We're gonna go, but you're going off. You teaching false doctrine. The mark of the beast is not a man. It's not a man. It says, the scripture says that the number, let's go bring it up. How the hell is the mark of the beast going to be a man when it's going to be put into you? The mark of the beast is going to be put into you. How the hell can it be a man? You're going to put a man inside your flesh? You're going to scan a man and they'll be able to eat? He set himself up. Revelation. That's not the answer. You're still not giving us the answer. You're being vague. You're being vague. He will set himself up. No. You're going off. You're completely going off. 46 years in the ministry, thou man of the Lord, and you can't tell us what the mark of the beast is. You know, we can see it. We can see it. You don't know what's going on. You said the mark of the beast was a man. Revelation 13:6, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. You saying you're going to receive a man in your right hand or your forehead? It don't make sense. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. So or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Even the number is not a man. You're going to be able to buy food by having a man. That's what we're going to do. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Let us just hit you up to what it is, okay? And we know Jake always got to try to personalize things. The mark of the beast is the RFID chip. They're going to insert it into your hand. When you go into the word mark, it's charagma. Inside of it, you got a numerical barcode with the number 666 in it. Simple as that. That's it. It's the chip. You don't believe it? We know you don't believe it. And we know you got a lot of bug outs in these last days. And if you can, hey man, that's as many videos as we've done on it. Fuck what Strong says. Strongs don't have the spiritual understanding. You don't got it. You don't got it. You're wrong. 46 years in the ministry. No street videos. The Lord's not dealing with you, man. And you're going to be destroyed unless you repent. All that weirdo shit. You don't got it. Allow me. 16, the number is Strong 5. No, you wrong. You're the one that's wrong. You bug out. You're the one that's wrong. All these people popping up in the last day. Let's move on. I just wanted to see where he was coming from. But we're going to mark your page. We're going to go there and check you out. See what you're talking about. I bet you that thing loaded with false doctrine. What does it mean to love the Most High? By the same spirit of faith, we speak, blah, blah, blah. No street videos. Here is a great man of the Lord, 46 years in the ministry. And the Most High the Holy Spirit never compelled you to go out in the street and teach like the rest of the holy prophets have done of all time. You're going to have to ignore Matthew 22, Jeremiah 17, all this different stuff. That's probably him. He's the guy that be on Sonetta calling himself the apostle. Weirdo, man. Just a complete weirdo. And then when you're going to tell us that we wrong. Okay. Let's move on. Yeah, he's completely through, man. Jake is on some other shit. Everybody want to try to capitalize in the last days. I was going to ask him what the name of the Most High was. He probably said, yeah, you know, who knows? Who knows what he would have said? Let's move on. We got so many videos on the mark of the beast. It's ridiculous. Many videos on this guy said the mark of the beast is a man. You ain't got it. You ain't got it. And we know you don't got it. For the people that's going to try to come defend the guy, he's going off. You ask him a direct question. He over there sweating. He wouldn't even lie to us and tell us that he believed that it was a chip. He had to give his own opinion, boy. But it's all good. Here's another video. We moving on from it. We just had to get that. You're going to name yourself boldly Apostle Zaquan. Zaquan means elder. You don't call yourself Apostle Elder? Damn, my brother. 46 years in the ministry and we never seen you before. We never heard of you. Damn. You mean to tell me how I can overlook that? You've been knowing the truth 46 years? And you ain't went on the street and talked one time. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. And when I went to that page, it said that, I don't know. I ain't going to focus on the guy no more. Forgive me, brothers. I don't want to take away from the lesson. Let's just keep it here in perspective. Woo! Jake is off the hook. So this video is entitled, How Will the Russia-Ukraine Crisis Affect the U.S. Economy? And this is on the minds of a lot of people. You keep hearing about these gas prices could go up. This video came out today. I'm going to put the link on the comment board. Okay. And if you want to check it out, it's pretty short. It's not a long video. It is 5 minutes and 59 seconds. We'll go to it and listen to it. This is more talking than anything. You know, some of this stuff could appear boring, but it's got information. Sometimes the information is not always exciting. Sometimes it's boring, but you have to sit through things in order to get the info. So listen to it and let's see what we hear.
The market is about to open on Wall Street as Ukraine and the invasion happening in Ukraine impacts stocks across the world. Here's a live look at the opening bell, the New York Stock Exchange there. All three major indexes closed up yesterday, and oil prices have dropped slightly, hovering back around $100 a barrel. Again, just awaiting that opening bell on Wall Street today. But let's bring in economic correspondent Deirdre Bolton for more on how this invasion is affecting the economy. Deirdre, it seems to be a little bit all over the place. So what do you think we can expect to see in the days ahead, both on Wall Street and in our everyday lives?
Diane, you said it's a little bit all over the place. That's the tone, definitely for stocks. If we talk about Wall Street, we could talk about Main Street in a minute. But as for stocks, people who participate in the markets just expect more volatility. This is the way that it's going to be. So you saw those incredibly wild swings yesterday. I mean, the S&P 500 was down at its lowest point around 2.5%. Finishing the day up by 1.5%. So it just shows you these swings. Very headline-driven news, of course, on everything that's going on in Ukraine. This morning, I want to highlight very, very early this morning, we actually had futures poised for a much lower open. There is a headline that came through Interfax about an hour ago saying that China has scheduled a call with Russia. And so that actually seems to move the futures. And now, to your point with that opening bell, we do see markets moving higher. For Main Street, it's a lot more of a cautious outlook because Russia, as we know, is a large oil producing nation. So any, let's say, taking out of supply, subtraction of supply is going to affect us all. So if you look at the national average price of gasoline, right now it's about $3.50 per gallon. It is likely we're going to hit that $4 per gallon mark pretty soon if oil prices stay as high as they are in the markets. And Diane, you know this affects everyday Americans almost more than anything else. And unfortunately, prices at the pump really affect the lowest earners in our country because they are the ones who are paying the highest percentage of what they have in their pocket to get where they need to go. And a lot of times that is work. Diane.
Now, we were already seeing historic inflation before this Russian invasion. So how do you think this attack could affect prices on things like groceries while people are already paying more for gas?
It's a great question. Unfortunately, I think the price of most things goes even higher. You said it, inflationary pressures. We are seeing inflation rise pre-Russian invasion to a 40-year high at the fastest pace in 40 years. Overall prices up 7.5%. But I go to the groceries, I see the prices that are there. Bacon is up 18%, peanut butter is up 15%. So there's a lot of items that a lot of Americans use or eat every day, or at least once a week, that are much more than 7.5% higher. But what happens with these higher fuel costs that we just talked about, whether it's gasoline in our cars or whether it's the diesel that food manufacturers use when they contract trucking companies to bring groceries to supermarkets, that's more expensive. We are the ones collectively who end up paying more for those higher energy prices. Also consider home heating bills, for example. Jet fuel prices, it is quite likely that airline travel gets more expensive if these airline companies pass along these higher costs of jet fuel, in the case of the airline companies, to us, again, the consumers who will be buying, in theory, airline tickets, Diane.
And Deirdre, we've already seen some sanctions on Russia. Those could continue to pile up. So what side effects could these new sanctions have?
Well, these new sanctions, of course, the hope is that it curbs Russia's thirst to keep going with this invasion, and it curbs its appetite to do more. There are a lot of people that I'm speaking with who somewhat cynically say that perhaps the sanctions that we have placed so far are not enough, meaning that gold has gone higher. Russia has a disproportionate holding of gold. Gold is up something like $200 to $250 an ounce. And also oil has spiked. We saw it close over, or rather touch about $100 a barrel yesterday. That is another product that actually is helpful to the Russian economy. So in some ways, at least in the past 48 to 72 hours, at least two of the products that Russia has, as far as the markets go, Russia has actually benefited from it, Diane.
And so how is the administration planning to tackle the economic fallout overall?
Well, the Biden administration was already fighting a war against inflation, and we heard the president speak about that. I know you're paying more for prices at the pump. I know that everything is more expensive. He talked a lot, of course, about trying to reach everyday Americans. The next really pivotal moment is what the Fed does in mid-March. So the Fed was scheduled to raise interest rates. Why do we care about that? Because it makes all borrowing more expensive. If you have credit cards, your payments become more expensive. For someone who's trying to buy a house, that mortgage becomes more expensive. To get a car loan becomes more expensive. So that is the next turning point, at least for our economic story. What is the Fed going to do with this information? Do with the fact that we are seeing inflation at a 40-year high, but we do have this huge X factor in the markets, which is this invasion by Russia into Ukraine. Diane.
Deirdre Bolton, we appreciate it, Deirdre. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC.
All right, y'all heard it there. So this is going to have, definite effects on Babylon the Great, but we'll wait and see, because right now you hear other reports saying that gas. I saw another report saying that gas is going to hold steady, and even they said it there. I believe, I was kind of distracted just now, so I was looking at looking up this guy Page. He said he'd been doing the work. He'd been in the ministry for 46 years, and his page has just only been opened in 2014, and he even got 20 videos. I don't know exactly how many videos, but he ain't got that many videos on his page, man. But it's all good, though. Because you know how Jake is. Jake going to come on the comment, well, you embarrassing the brother. He embarrassed his own self. Coming up in there like you know something, and you can't even answer a simple question without peeing in your clothes, man. Damn. If you got the answer, you're supposed to have it. If not, like the scripture say, put your hand on your mouth. You've been better off saying, I'm a new brother, and I want to come into the order and follow the apostles. But no, instead you're going to label yourself an elder and an apostle. Just because you're an old dude don't make you an elder, man. Whoever you are. So let's read a few scriptures here. Then we're going to go on to the news report. I ain't really trying to keep brothers real long because, of course, the Dallas brothers teaching. So I want to go and catch some of that as well. I really just want to share some of this info. This is GMS, pray always, hopefully elect, Zephaniah 1:10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Howl ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off, which is really going into, the financial collapse that's going to come. The apostles equate Maktesh with like Wall Street, if I'm not mistaken. So, when it comes to money, gold, silver, stocks, bonds, these things, like we said, this thing that's going on with Ukraine and Russia is really more about economics. And eventually, nations are going to have no other choice but to go and fight in World War III. They're going to have to, because it's going to be all about money. You see? Shalom, GMS Italia. I got to subscribe to your page. I don't think I got that one. Yeah, let me go there and get that. Yeah, eventually nations are going to have no other choice but to go and fight. But we'll see. Everything in the Most High's time. Yeah, the brother dropping scriptures dealing with that, dealing with the economy, right? This is GMS Italia 3, showing you that great millstone. Hey, as the scriptures say, you're supposed to prophesy this word in the four corners of the earth, right? As it says in Matthew 24. Preach the gospel of the kingdom. Yeah, the elder brother said it. Yep, Wall Street. Yep, the New York Stock Exchange and Wall Street, right? Yep, the water elder Hawaii. So this is 2nd Esdras 16-21, and the quote from Matthew is, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." That's the exact quote of what I was speaking of. So you got having brothers in Italy, that's big. We got brothers in Italy, Holland, Germany, all those different nations over there. Finland, we got a brother in Finland, Ireland as well. There was one, even though I hadn't heard from that brother in a minute, the brother in Finland or in Ireland, but we do have brothers over there that was teaching. So we'll see. This is GMS Italia, 2nd Esdras 16:21. "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion." So right now, while people still relaxing, you thinking I mean, people are more on edge right now because well, anyway, the so-called white people are more on edge because they see something going on. Negroes are still just worrying about getting paper, doing the next internet challenge, this or that. They really ain't got their minds on nothing. It ain't nothing to them. See? Shalom, brother, you won. Shalom. What you got talking about? Oh, okay. It's all good. As we know, Jake is too busy being distracted with Folly, the new album, the new Kanye West album, the new Lil Durk album, the new Lil Boosie album. You worried about that. But the Most High is signaling there. He about ready to wrap this thing up. And we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be, it's gonna be interesting coming up in these next few months. What's gonna happen? Anyway, let's go now. Full blast into the NBC nightly news. This is also gonna give you some other things. As well as the Ukraine-Russia conflict, they're also going to talk about other news as well. So this will be something good here, which I didn't know. There was a major winter storm coming through part of the United States. They're going to get to that later on. But let's go ahead and check it out now and see what the spirit takes us. Check it out.
Breaking news tonight: Russia launching a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin's forces unleashing an all-out assault on Ukraine from land, sea, and air.
Hold tight.
Every day I make around $10,000, and it's all online. It's actually
doggone commercials. Come on, man.
Not from real estate. If you're someone that's in real estate, let me educate you on a few things real quick.
Of Russian helicopters attacking an airport near the capital, Kyiv. Russian troops seizing the Chernobyl nuclear plant.
You brothers, hold on. See here. The quality switched on me. We're going to go back and start this over. Get the high definition.
Breaking news tonight: Russia launching a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin's forces unleashing an all-out assault on Ukraine from the land, sea, and air. Images of Russian helicopters attacking an airport near the capital, Kyiv. Russian troops seizing the Chernobyl nuclear plant. Explosions and sirens across the country. Reports dozens are dead, including civilians. Our team there on the ground tonight. We're also seeing the massive traffic jams as thousands flee Kyiv and inside a subway station where crowds are taking shelter from the bombs. President Biden addressing the nation today, saying Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences, he said. The new sanctions he announced against Russia as he deploys thousands more troops to Europe. In just a few moments, my one-on-one with Secretary of State Antony Blinken. I asked him, what is the intention? Also tonight, the trial of the 3 former officers charged with violating George Floyd's civil rights. The verdict just handed down. And the deadly storm on the move. More than 100 million under alerts from Texas to Maine. Al Roker timing it out.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. The world looks very different from when we joined you last night as we come on the air. A second evening of Russian attacks is underway in Ukraine, a country of 40 million people under siege as the largest European invasion since World War II plays out. The sanctions failing to deter Vladimir Putin. President Biden unveiling a new round, but the die has been cast. Russian forces are on the move. The U.S. estimates Russia has already fired more than 160 missiles from land, sea, and air. The attack striking largely military targets across a vast part of Ukraine. Ukraine's Ministry of Health reporting dozens dead, many more injured, including civilians. In addition to more sanctions, the U.S. tonight is deploying 7,000 American ground troops to Germany as Washington works to bolster its NATO allies. I asked Secretary of State Blinken, what now, in just a few moments. But
yeah, and then videos that we can't show you. There was a video going around on the chat among the brotherhood, among some of the brothers, and they actually showed live footage. You know, where it wasn't live at the time; it was recorded, but at the time it was live, showing that it was people that was dead, man, like soldiers. They had on their full fatigue. You even saw their weapons, and like some of their bodies was burned up. You saw them shot, whatever. It was just, you know, I don't know. Probably in that short video, 2 or 3 minute video, probably saw 10 or more guys just dead, and the other soldiers stripping their body, taking their body armor off, getting their rations, different stuff. So there's some fighting going on, no doubt. The elder Karatazar says NATO response force activated for the first time. That's heavy. That's big, you know. Exciting stuff. It's terrible at the same time, though. Let's keep going.
But first, our team is in place again, from the White House and Moscow to the battlefield, which is where we start with Richard Engel.
It was unprovoked, but this is what Russian President Vladimir Putin unleashed on Ukraine as the sun came up this morning. An industrial park in western Ukraine. A helicopter assault on an airport outside of Kiev. Close, intense fighting. And there are civilian casualties. Local officials say this apartment building was struck in eastern Ukraine. Heartbreaking images of people bloodied, staggering out of their homes. And this is what remains of another family's apartment. A baby stroller among the debris. We traveled to this Ukrainian military installation near the eastern port city of Mariupol.
This radar station took a direct hit. Russia is picking off Ukraine's military facilities one after another. But Ukrainian troops are fighting back, and Russia is also suffering losses here.
Ukraine says it's destroyed some Russian tanks using American-supplied missiles, that this is a damaged Russian helicopter, and that it has captured some Russian soldiers. On day one, the army has been holding strong, but they're being pushed to the limit by Russia's full-scale invasion with attacks across Ukraine, which is the size of Texas, from areas near those pro-Russian enclaves in the east to the capital Kiev in the west, even capturing the still radioactive Chernobyl nuclear reactor. It all began from a desk before dawn, when Russian President Vladimir Putin declared a special military operation on Russian television. Russia cannot feel safe, develop, and exist with the constant threat emanating from the territory of modern Ukraine, he said, describing the government in Kiev as a junta of neo-Nazis determined to build nuclear weapons. It was a split-screen moment, Putin announcing his assault as his actions were slammed at the UN Security Council, Ukraine's ambassador blasting Russia's representative.
The Russian president declared the war on the record. Should I play the video of your president? There is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell.
Later, after Putin stopped speaking on cue, the missiles and airstrikes began. Russian tanks rolling across the border from Belarus in the north and Crimea in the south. For Ukrainians, the choice was to hide in deep Soviet-era subways built long ago to shelter Ukrainians from an American attack, or to run if they could get through the traffic heading out of Kiev, or to ride it out, stocking up on food and cash.
How are you feeling? This is your mother.
See, so it's going down over there. Now, I want to just mention real quick what that representative from Ukraine said. He said that there's no purgatory for war criminals, showing that they believe in that Catholic shit. And they're just some Edomites, man. That's all. He said there's no purgatory for war criminals. You go straight to hell. See, showing you they bugged out. They don't know what's going on. But these things must be. This got to happen. This is their kingdom on the way down. The Edomites' kingdom is on the way down. And in order for us to get out of here, these things must be. Let's go.
I'm trying to keep my children calm. Putin is not helping. We are Ukraine, she says.
Putin says he's doing Ukrainians a favor by trying to get rid of their Nazi fascist government. What do you think about that?
He isn't protecting us, she says. It would be better if he sat there in Russia and did not touch anyone or anything here. Ukraine is fighting for its right to exist as a sovereign country and against a man who says Ukraine belongs to him.
Richard joining us now. Richard, Putin insists he's not trying to occupy Ukraine, but what can you tell from what you've been seeing about what might be the goal here?
Well, he might not want to occupy.
Another commercial. Hold on.
This game, you're not ready for it.
Might not want to occupy Ukraine, but he certainly wants to overthrow the government. And to do that, he'd likely have to take the capital, Kiev. And U.S. officials say that is what he probably intends to do and where many of his forces are heading. Lester?
All right, Richard, stay safe. Thank you. President Biden sharply condemning Vladimir Putin tonight as he revealed new harsh sanctions against Russia. Not among them the punishment that the Ukrainian president and many bipartisan lawmakers here called for. Peter Alexander is at the White House.
Condemning it as a brutal assault without provocation, President Biden tonight blamed Russian President Vladimir Putin for what he called a premeditated attack.
Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences.
The president imposing harsh new sanctions, cutting off Russia's largest banks and companies from Western financial markets, restricting exports of technology, and freezing trillions of dollars of assets, including those controlled by Russian elites close to Putin and their families.
We will limit Russia's ability to do business in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen.
The president promising to make Putin an international pariah, but tonight notably not announcing what Ukraine's president and bipartisan lawmakers have said would be the strongest financial punishment available to allies, barring Russia from SWIFT, the secure system that connects banks in more than 200 countries.
Given the full-scale invasion, given that you're not pursuing disconnecting Russia from what's called SWIFT, the international banking system, respectfully, sir, what more are you waiting for?
The sanctions we've imposed exceed SWIFT. The sanctions we impose exceed anything that's ever been done. They are profound sanctions. Let's have a conversation in another month or so to see if they're working.
He says right now, European allies are not willing to take that step. And though the White House has said its repeated threats of sanctions were intended to deter Putin from invading,
the purpose of the sanctions has always been and continues to be deterrence.
Tonight, the president said this.
No one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening.
President Biden is also reiterating that American troops will not fight in Ukraine, but will bolster NATO allies, authorizing another 7,000 troops to Germany.
The United States will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of American power.
The president warning Americans will feel an impact, with already high gas prices expected to rise even more.
I will do everything in my power to.
Now, the other report kind of made it seem like the gas prices were going to stay steady. This one says you're going to feel the impact in America. And we know the gas going to go up. We know that, you know. And this also shows you, too, who it is that's in authority over the whole earth. It is America, because how you expect your sanctions to work? They got the full backing of all their allies to try to put sanctions. And normally the sanctions cripple the economies of other nations. You know, you stop them from getting certain goods. Their free trade is not opened up. You know, I got to do more research on the whole sanctions deal, though, because obviously it's supposed to deter countries from rising up, going against what NATO wants you to do, which is mainly Edomite countries, but you do have some other nations there too that's not Edomites. For example, you have African nations as part of the United Nations, so-called African or whatever. But we'll see. I mean, hell, you're going to try to shut down the free trade of Russia and other things going on, but obviously they already knew that was going to happen, or they wouldn't have done anything. Let's go. It ain't going to matter. The only thing that matters is what the Lord got written.
Limit the pain the American people are feeling at the gas pump. This aggression cannot go unanswered.
And Peter, something else we noticed, despite mentioning it before, President Biden today not sanctioned Putin personally. Is that still on the table?
Yeah, that's right, Lester. The president said why the U.S. didn't sanction that it is still on the table. And tonight, the White House is responding to those critics who argue that President Biden should have leveled these sanctions preemptively, saying Vladimir Putin simply could have decided if he's already paid the price, go ahead and invade. Lester?
All right, Peter Alexander, thank you. And once tonight, I'm joined by Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Mr. Secretary, nothing the U.S. or Europeans have done has been able to stop any of this from happening. Now the president has announced new and harsher sanctions. What's the goal at this point? Do you believe Putin will suddenly turn around his tanks and head home because of harsher sanctions?
Lester, we've been warning about this for a long time. We've been planning on this for a long time. We've gotten allies and partners together for a long time, and we've made it clear that on one hand, if President Putin decided to pursue the path of diplomacy and dialogue, we're ready for that, engage on that. But equally, if he pursued the path of aggression, which tragically is exactly what he's done, we're prepared on that too. And as a result, we have responded in a united way, swiftly, and with real consequence to impose very severe costs on Russia for the aggression it's committing against Ukraine.
But if Russia begins to feel cornered and maybe even desperate in all this, do you worry they could become more dangerous and perhaps directly threaten NATO countries?
Well, first, Lester, when it comes to threatening NATO countries, we have something very powerful called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. Russia knows that, and that's exactly why, among other things, one of our responses has been to shore up NATO's defenses, to put more forces, to put more equipment on its east flank, the countries closest to Russia, to deter any aggression that Russia might be contemplating against NATO countries. But in terms of doing other things, look, I think you just have to listen to President Putin's own words. This is something he was planning all along. We made every possible effort to deter him, to dissuade him from taking this course. But clearly, this has been something that he's planned for a long time, and it's much bigger than NATO. This is all about trying to get Ukraine back into his orbit to reconstitute, if he could, something approximating the Soviet Empire. Short of that, re-exerting a sphere of influence to state countries on his borders to his will. That's what's going on.
And very quickly, any signs that he is losing support at home?
Look, much too early to say. We've seen protests. We've seen at least reports of more than 1,000 people being arrested for protesting against war. But much too soon to say. As the impact of this is felt, as the consequence of what President Putin done is felt, including in Russia, that will have an impact.
Secretary, always good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
The invasion rattled the markets, but after steep declines, the Dow and the Nasdaq both closed ahead. Oil recovered some as well after soaring past $100 a barrel. But get ready for the impact. Here's Tom Costello.
On Wall Street, a head-snapping reaction to Ukraine. The stock.
And let's actually stop it right there for a minute. We'll go back to that. I want to read a few of these scriptures here that I got pulled up because this is just the beginning. I mean, we're right here at the beginning. The different brothers saying that the gas price is going up. Ozana Moth, gas $6.58 a gallon in the Bay Area. Damn. Woo. $6.58. Ouch. Another brother said gas already up 30 cents in Georgia. Ooh. See? So we'll see. You know what I mean? Things getting interesting. You was already experiencing inflation. Meat being locked in having mesh wire wrapped around steaks and shit. So Beautiful. We just want to see more hell come on these people. And we told you that it was coming. The prophets have been warning and warning and warning, and people didn't want to hear us. Maybe you'll start listening now. We're going to see. We're going to see. It's going to be very interesting. This is Matthew 24. Excuse me. And verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? Hold on, brothers. Okay. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And as always, the great men of the Lord wanted to know when the end was coming. Okay? I got a couple comments here I want to read. Elder Hawad, GMS North Carolina. Sanctions are financial penalties against the country as a form of economic pressure. Restrict trade and official contact with the country that has broken international law. Export restrictions to trade embargoes and asset seizures. Yeah, for example, America might stop Russia from getting Xboxes, Coca-Cola, any American thing that the nations love around the world. They could put a blockade, a naval blockade on you. They can put sanctions on you. Certain stuff you won't be able to get. For example, if Esau wanted to, he can shut down the hood. There'd be no more damn Hennessy. You couldn't even get Hennessy no more if they wanted to. Just different stuff that they could put on these different countries. They also have done that to North Korea. Right off the rip, North Korea is going to be an ally to Russia. You already know that. Yep. Beautiful stuff. Brother Shaquad said 8-pound bag of chicken wings, $31. Good Lord. And this brother said almost €2 a liter here in Italy, which y'all, system is a little different than ours. I don't know how that breaks down in American terminology, but €2, a euro is higher value than the dollar. So I guess you're saying gas prices going up there. GMS Vegas sit down and said this is going to help accelerate the demise of the petrodollar and the current global monetary system, in which America don't want that. That's the same reason why they went into war with that little country called, man, Kuwait. They said they were gonna pay for their oil in a different way, and America didn't want that. Shit, they went over there and took the whole shit. Same thing with Iraq. So, hey, when you start messing with the white man money, shit get crazy. Then it start getting funny. So, Putin is the ultimate Edomite, and they trying to get that paper. But we'll see. So they asked the Lord, what sign shall it be of your coming in the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And not only will they say to him, some will say to him, some will say they were sent by him. As we just saw this one guy whose name was Apostle Zaquan, who said he'd been in the ministry 46 years, but he don't even know what the mark of the beast is, and he doesn't have any street videos. You're going to see many imposters pop up in the last days. And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And we got to remember that. We will hear that scripture come out time and again, right? Wars and rumors of wars. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. It's not the end yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. So as much as Jake gonna try to jump, all these wicked Israelites, or these little lukewarm Israelites, they ain't been doing the work. They ain't been nowhere on the battlefield. Now they're gonna all start popping up, acting like they're these deep men of the Lord. We know that. Just get ready for bug outs. Had a bug out on the screen earlier, and I didn't do the video yet, but I'm gonna bring it out, Lord willing. Bug outs everywhere. So this is also 2nd Ezra 16. We basically experiencing daily bug outs. 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So the Most High is like taking plagues and using them like a belt, the whip, that's to scourge you with for amendment. See? Look, see, look. See? It don't matter though. It's all good. Let's keep it moving. That bug hasn't even shown up on my comment board. The war is not here yet. And anyway, if you women just be quiet. Just listen in the background quietly. Anyway, going on, the Most High is using plagues as punishment for amendment. So now that you can see in the near future that some heavy fighting could break out and it could lead to World War III. Let's see how many Jakes started listening now when we prophesying. Camp should be interesting tomorrow. We'll see, but people gonna be a little bit afraid at first, and then when the shit get a little more calm, they will go right back to being wicked. They're gonna just hit you with another distraction. Some celebrity gonna do something, somebody gonna pass away. You're gonna take your minds off of it, and you're gonna be more into that than you into the scriptures. But we'll see. We're gonna stay steadfast in our job. We're gonna continue to preach the downfall of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the destruction of Babylon the Great. And we're gonna say, we told you, Lord was gonna do something. And it ain't even started yet, really. It's just a little bit of fighting. As it goes on, it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. People gonna continue to be wicked. They don't think this is nothing. They think you got it fully under control. We the best country. We got all the nuclear weapons, this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. You don't ever think you're going down. But one day, the Most High gonna cause these devils to fall. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Even now, even though food is going up, you got prices of things going up, Jake still thinks some kind of way it's gonna blow over. You're gonna be all right. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. And even while things are seemingly okay in the background, worse things are about to happen. They're preparing you. Hey, the FEMA camps is still there. You still got FEMA camps. They're still working on the MOTB coming soon. They're still working on trying to demonize the Israelites. You got a lot of things playing out in the background. While this is taking center stage, the other prophecies are still there and they're preparing to unfold. And we're going to see. You got to have your faith up. All that tough guy shit and all that smart ass Israelite and feminism, it ain't going to bode too well for you. The Lord is getting ready to bring the judgment on Babylon the Great. You could see it coming sooner than we think. We'll see. Let's go back a little bit, deal with this economic thing they talking about, economic fallout. Let's listen in.
As well after soaring past $100 a barrel. But get ready for the impact. Here's Tom Costello.
On Wall Street, a head-snapping reaction to Ukraine. The stock market staging a huge recovery from an 859-point sell-off at the open after President Biden did not announce the toughest possible sanctions against Russia. But with the markets sliding in recent weeks, Americans' investments and retirement accounts are already feeling the squeeze. And even more pain at the pump. Russia is the second largest exporter of oil and gas. Today, oil pushed $100 a barrel on the global markets. For every $10 increase, gas prices also rise by 20 cents. Now with regular reaching $3.54 nationwide, $4.77 in California, experts predict prices could jump quickly.
Americans will be paying at least 15 to 20 cents a gallon more here because of the incursion, and that's just over the next 2 weeks with the potential for much more than that.
In Chicago, bracing for prices to go even higher.
It's out of control. It's hard to believe it's over $5 a gallon right now for me to fill my tank.
Food prices already soaring could get even more expensive. Ukraine is a big wheat exporter. A war a world away, coming home to America's dinner plates and gas tanks. Tom Costello, NBC News, Washington.
In just 60 seconds, the view from Moscow from Putin and his alarming words to the people taking to the streets.
I hope y'all heard that. They said that Russia is the second biggest exporter of natural oil and gas. You see that? So they send out a lot of oil and gas coming from over there. So this latest crisis, what do you think gonna happen with America put sanctions on Russia? Russia gonna say, fuck you, I ain't sending you no more oil and gas from over here. Go to your other sources, the Arab countries, which America been bombing the shit out of them. So that's gonna decrease the amount that's coming into this country, thus making the prices go up. And it said that Ukraine is a high exporter of wheat. You know, dealing with bread and a lot of other things. So these things can be very interesting, man. Very interesting. This brother, let's see here. This brother said, Jim S. Italia, they needed this crisis in Ukraine to usher in Nicaragua. A cyber attack is likely next. We'll see. Just be prepared. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Exciting stuff. Exciting. This brother said, all plan to destroy the dollar. That's right. And if they destroy the dollar, if economies go belly up, you know, as far as cash is concerned, what do you think they got? What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna hit you with this right here. We told you. We just asked that dude what it was. He talking about it's a man. And you got one bug out that was teaching earlier, the Orlando brothers going into it. He said the MOTB was money. No, it's not money. The MOTB is not money, man. If that's the case, we all doomed because we all had currency. That would mean the holy prophets were doomed. Did they not have currency? They had money. Gold, silver. What about the Israelites that was back during Yahweh Shai had money? Didn't they catch a fish and it was a coin inside the fish mouth? And then they also had a bag, 30 pieces of silver, you know, this, that, and the other things was going around. They had the Roman coins and whatnot. The Lord said, render unto Caesar what is due to Caesar. The disciples and the Lord had money. The scriptures say if you have the mark of the beast, that you can't repent from it. So you saying that if the mark of the beast is money, that means King Solomon, Yahweh Shai, basically all the Israelites, everybody from all times is doomed because we've had some form of money. It ain't that. It is. Try again. That's a Negro answer, man. How not the mark of the beast is money? Because you ain't deep enough.
And I'll ask the former Supreme Commander of NATO where he thinks this is all heading. Back now with more of our coverage of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine now underway. Inside Russia tonight, President Vladimir Putin remaining defiant even as he faces growing protests. Keir Simmons is in Moscow.
Protests tonight across Russia in more than 50 cities, according to an NGO. Vladimir Putin unbowed, confidently declaring Russia remains part of the global economy, reassuring Russian business leaders. His comments made before President Biden's latest sanctions announcement. His early morning television address was unscripted and often ominous, saying his security demands were ignored by NATO and America, referencing Russia's nuclear capability, warning if his enemies interfere, the consequences will be such as you've never seen in your entire history. But some of his own people are now frightened.
It's a tragedy.
Though others supporting the Russian president. The West ignored Russia. Russia has spoken, this man said. Then there's Tatiana and her 11-year-old daughter Margarita, who live in Moscow. Tonight, Margarita's grandfather is in Ukraine.
She's scared about her grandpa to be killed.
They haven't seen each other for 3 years because of COVID. Now their family's torn apart by war.
If you could speak to President Putin now, what would you say?
Please stop the war now. We are not enemies.
Meanwhile, after those protests, there have been more than 1,700 arrests. Lester?
All right, Keir Simmons, thank you. As we've been seeing, this Russian invasion is sweeping across Ukraine, from the assault on a military installation in the east to Russian attack helicopters in the airspace over Kyiv to fighting in the west near the borders with Ukraine's neighbors in NATO. So one big question, how far will Putin go, and could NATO allies be pulled in? I'm joined by Admiral James Stavridis, former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and an NBC News analyst. Admiral, thank you for being with us. Can this bell be unrung, or has Putin done it again?
Putin has crossed his Rubicon. He will not be able to unring the bell, and he doesn't want to unring the bell. At this point, this is an accountability process. He should be made to feel the pain economically from the Ukrainians bravely fighting, from resistance forces in Ukraine if necessary. And we should do all we can to support Ukraine, short of sending troops there to fight the battle themselves.
But if he succeeds and occupies Ukraine, suddenly you have Russia or a Russian satellite sitting on the border with NATO countries. How much concern does that bring you?
NATO is well prepared. We already have Russia on many of our borders. We know how to defend ourselves. NATO outspends Russia 10-1. We have a 3-to-1 advantage in troops. We have many more combat aircraft, many more warships. Vladimir Putin will not cross a NATO border the way he's gone across this Ukrainian border.
Admiral Stavridis, thank you for being with us.
You bet, Lester.
Up next, Al Roker with the latest track on that dangerous winter storm and the verdict in the civil rights trial of 3 former police officers in the death of George Floyd. A verdict in Minnesota.
Quick commercial, hold on.
Here, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. This right here, this cannot be faked, right? And that actually represents just one bank account of more than 7 accounts that I have with this bank, which probably begs the question, right?
A verdict in Minnesota tonight. 3 former Minneapolis police officers found guilty of violating George Floyd's civil rights as he was dying at the knee of another officer. Shaquille Brewster is there. Shaquille, what more do we know?
The Minnesota jury took about 13 hours over the course of 2 days to deliberate. That panel of 8 women and 4 men finding the 3 former Minneapolis police officers, Thomas Lane, Alexander King, and Tu Tao, guilty of violating George Floyd's civil rights, agreeing they willfully deprived him of medical aid while he was in need of attention. 2 of the officers, Tao and King, convicted on an additional charge of failing to intervene as their woman was using unreasonable force. The ex-officers also
lock their ass up.
Facing state charges for aiding and abetting the murder of George Floyd. The trial is set to begin in June.
Shaquille Brewster, thank you. Update. Also tonight, a deadly winter storm is on the move. More than 100 million Americans under alerts from Texas all the way to Maine. Al Roker is tracking it. What are you looking at, my friend?
Well, right now, Lester, we can see 105 million people from Texas into New England, and you can see we've got this freezing temperature line right here, the current temperatures, and that's where we see all the frozen precip, icing, sleet, and snow to the north of it. Rainfall amounts, we're talking about 1 inch or 2 in the Midwest. However, because the ground's already saturated, it is going to be a problem for flooding. We're really worried about the icing stretching from New England all the way across the Ohio River Valley, damaging winds. We're talking about Pennsylvania with damaging amounts of ice up to a half an inch. Snowfall around 2 to 3 inches. Chicago maybe 2 to 5 inches. But as we get into New England and interior New York, snowfall rates could be 2 inches per hour or more, with a foot or more from Killington, Albany, all the way to Boston. Lester.
All right, Al, thanks very much. Up next for us,
I just wanted to say real quick, you're seeing this more and more. A lot of you new Israelites are coming around and you're putting new stuff on the comment board. You're trying to post scriptures. If you're new, you should just be falling back and listening. Okay? This is not a game. Fall back and listen. I just went to your page, True Jew, and you just opened the page up in December 2021. You ain't ready to be all on the comment board like that. Just listen, man. Listen and understand first.
Life during wartime, the assault on Ukraine, and the human toll. Before we go, whenever there are conflicts, you see the stark images of destruction. And at the heart are people who were thrust into an unimaginable situation. Here's Aaron McLaughlin in Kiev.
See what Esau doing, like they always do. They try to connect with you on a human level, and they try to pluck your heartstrings. That's all they're about to do. But it's all good. We ain't worried about it. We ain't for the Russians. We ain't for Ukraine. We ain't for none of you. We want your kingdom to fall. That's all we want. Go ahead and destroy each other. Kill each other up so our Lord can come. It is what it is. Now, you should take notes. If you're a new brother or sister, take notes. Right? Learn first. This live, don't let live streams be a stumbling block under you, because that's a new thing. I want to be on the live stream posting scriptures, brother. You're new. You don't need to. You need to learn. That's what you need to do. Let's finish this thing off.
The sound of war, not heard in this European capital since World War II. Ukrainians' worst nightmare now realized. Thousands trying to flee the capital Kyiv, either stuck in gridlock or unable to fill their cars with the gas needed to get out. I'm very, very scared for my boy, says this father. Some families crossed into Poland on foot, their belongings stuffed into plastic bags. This man carrying packs of diapers. While on the Eastern Front in Kharkiv, they sheltered inside darkened subway cars, bracing for the next missile strike.
We were sleeping, and my wife woke up and say, like, it's bombs.
In the capital, when the sirens sounded, we ran to an underground garage. We were told 4 ballistic missiles had been fired toward the center of the city.
This hotel does not have a bomb shelter, as so many places here in Kyiv do not. This is just sort of an illustration of how people are making do when there are sirens, when there are missiles.
Less than 24 hours into a war that no one here wanted, the psychological trauma is palpable.
Are you scared?
Yes, I am. And I think it's normal. I think it's normal to be scared. It's normal to be afraid for your life, for your kids, for your families.
At the National Police Headquarters, a line of people waiting to be handed weapons. The government encouraging all Ukrainians to take up arms and fight. This man leaves with 2 AK-47s, even though he's never fired a gun.
Do you know how to use that?
To tell the truth, I am not good at it, but I understand. I just need to have some to find some quiet place and figure out how it works.
A nation known for its resolve, now fighting for its future. Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
Another unsettling night in an unsettling part of the world. That's Nightly News. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, but we're not unsettled about it. We're greatly lifted up by the notion of them fighting to the bloody end. Because as we've been prophesying for a long time, we're going to say it again. We know a bunch of you so-called white people, you watch us, a lot of you Negroes, you 1970s NAACP, wish you'll overcome ass niggas who think you're going to hold hands with the devil and you're going to take them into the kingdom of heaven, which you know you're not. They're going to be destroyed. If you don't repent, you're going to be destroyed, because the Lord is going to punish these people for everything they've done unto us. And this is starting to happen. So you know what? We don't feel bad for them. They can all die. We don't give a shit. All right. And that's the right spirit to be. And don't say why you want to see war come on the earth. No, the Lord want to see war come on the earth. You see right here, this is Joel 3 verse 1. It says the nations will be judged. And how's the Lord going to judge them? He's going to make them go fight. He's going to gather them into the valley of Jehoshaphat to fight one another for what they did to the Israelites. Let's read some of it. Joel 3 verse 1, it says, for behold, in those days and at that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. The Lord is saying he's going to take captivity off of the 12 tribes. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. What did they do? Whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. That's why you're going to go fight, because you parted the Most High's land. You took it and said it was yours. You took his people into captivity, and you said you were them, and you can't live it down. We've been telling you devils for a long time, you're going to fight, and everything we saying is going to come to pass. You're going into slavery. Who parted the Most High's land? Salakia, Ezekiel 36. I'll tell you who parted his land. Let's read it right now. Ezekiel 36 and 5. It says right here, therefore thus saith the Lord of power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. That's Esau, Edom. Who's in the Most High's land right now claiming they're Jews? Idumea. And you also had heathen nations that did it. And who helped these Idumeans in the land of Israel? their relatives, the Americans, the British, the Germans. Well, they fought against the Germans, but then they turned around and became allies to them and donate money because you're all part of the same wicked tree. All of them, the Russians included, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So you ain't getting off the hook. You can cry, whine, spit, say all this stuff, try to demonize us. You need to be worrying about your own stuff because the Lord about to do something. He goes on. Verse 3, he says, and they have cast lots for my people. When you cast a lot, you're selling, right? You're doing business. You're casting lots. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. And you did sell our people, in exchange for other goods, musket guns, whiskey, for harlots, for wine, different stuff. And it ain't just the so-called white man. Africans had a lot to do with it. It's gonna go into it. And what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? And when you look into it, Tyre and Zidon go back to the Hamites. In the original, it was Hamite nations, right? Great, the Zidonians. If you go into it, they go back to if I'm not mistaken, Canaan. You can easily go there and look it up, Zidon. Let's see what we see. Right here in Zidon, which is Sidon, same thing. If you look it up, what does it say? An ancient Phoenician city on Mediterranean coast north of Tyre. Down here it says Sidon, the name of a son of Canaan. They go back to the Hamites. I had this white boy on the comment board one time tried to say it was the ancient Phoenicians and they was white people. No, they're not. That's Hamites. That's Hamites. And it's showing you that the Hamites sold the Israelites. Yeah, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? And further than that, if you go back to the ancient League of Affinity that King Solomon made with Hiram, Hiram had a great navy. That was the Tyre and Zidon, the Zidonians. And they came over here to this side of the world. That's why you find those Olmec heads in the land of America, because they was over here getting peacock spices and different things, because they neighbors would sell over here and do trade with King Solomon. We've been knew about this side of the world even before our people came over here. That's in history. Yeah, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? This is also why a lot of the Hamites, a lot of these black consciences people try to say that this part of the world was occupied by Africans. But no, they were actually on a mission from King Solomon because they were allies at the time. Yeah, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because the Most High is going to sell the Hamites into slavery just like they sold us. Because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. Listen, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. When you ever seen that? When you ever seen the Jewish people getting sold by Hamites to other white people? You ain't never seen that, because it wasn't them. It was the Israelites being sold to white people by the damn Hamites. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. The Most High is already doing it. He's raising us out of the place where we've been sold to, all the nations, and we've been standing upon our feet, an exceeding great army. And he said he will return their recompense upon their own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. And you ain't going to get out of it. Let's go to Amos real quick to back it up. Amos, where is it here? Amos 1. Amos, the first chapter. It backs it up beautifully. Amos 1 and verse 9. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. There's that name again, Tyrus, going along with Zidon. Tyre or Tyrus, and Zidon or Sidon. The Lord said he ain't going to turn away their punishment. What did they do wrong? I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. But I will send a fire on the wall of Tyrus, which shall devour the palaces thereof. So the Hamites gonna get judgment. Thus said the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. That's those Grecians that I was speaking of. Even though when you look in Joel chapter 3, if you look up the word Grecians, it will say Javan or Jawan, which is the son of Japhet, right? But those people used to inhabit that land, till Esau pushed them out and put the name on himself. So here it says, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. But I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour all the palaces thereof. So eventually, Edom is going to be a desolation, wherever they are, all over the earth. They're going into slavery, man. Nobody can get them out of it. You can try to hold hands with them, try to come out with your little documentaries. It ain't going to matter. You can send Bubble-Eyed Blackfish with his wacky breakdowns. It's not going to matter. They're still going into slavery. And the Lord now, so he said it. He's going to sell the Hamites into slavery. All nations going into captivity. Let's also go to Isaiah 34 real quick. Let's grab that. This is the reason why you go in to fight. Because of what you did to the Most High's people. It says it right here. God's wrath against nations. Isaiah 34:1. Come near ye nations to hear, and hearken ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations. Most High mad with all of them. And his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Now we say World War III, but in the scriptures, the slaughter is called Armageddon. You see it? So they're going to go and fight. All the nations of the earth are going to be involved in this. Nobody's either one side or the other, NATO or the Russian side. Russia got allies, Iran, China, Japan. They're going to get involved in some of those other countries. So here we got Joel 3:9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. The Most High is going to cause all nations to get involved. Eventually. Now, we ain't saying that this is it now. Right now, it's just a war and a rumor of war. But it could expand to something greater. As countries start to send their troops into it, we'll see. Beat your plowshares in the swords and your pruning hooks in the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. How do weak nations say or proclaim that they're strong? Because they too have nuclear capabilities. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. Gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. And the mighty ones are the angels. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For what? For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. That's what is part of their judgment, is going into World War III to fight. And to get their soldiers killed up. See? Many women will be made widows because them boys go over there to fight. They ain't never coming back. And this word Jehoshaphat, right? Or Yahweh Shaphat means the Most High's judgment. Shaphat means judgment. Yahweh is the name of the Most High. See? So he says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Don't we read in Matthew 13 that the harvest is the end of the world? Yeah, we do. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The day is coming close. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. You see it? So this is coming. The Most High is going to be the hope of the children of Israel. So while the world will be perplexed by what's going on over there, not us, we're excited. Even though we know this is not the end, at least something is happening, right? So bring it on. Bring it on, Lord, and come soon, Lord Yahushua, and get us up out of here while we wait for them to destroy one another. So we're going to end it right there. A lot of great scriptures, brothers, but we know we've been long enough. We're going to end it right there. The water to everybody for joining in. We'll see you again soon with another lesson, Lord willing. This has been World News, Russia, Ukraine, and the world. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakak, Wadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect. We'll see you again soon, Lord willing.